Welcome back to the Convo Couch, everyone. Pasta Jardula here.
And I'm Fiorella.
And Johnny Sue on the ones and twos with Oslin and the overalls today, fam. I don't know if you caught that, but Oz has got those beautiful overalls on today. It makes me all warm and fuzzy inside, especially when we have to talk about a lot of things that are plaguing not only this country, but this world today. Because shit went down, did it not, fam?
Yeah, shit went down. Shit goes down every day. Every day there's something going on. And, we've been covering a lot of the Omicron because it's literally in the front of everybody's minds. And it's something that is really, it's just the issue with mandates and what's happening right now affects every other issue. It's along the lines of free speech, right? It's along the lines of freedoms. It's along the lines of being able to push back, to have dissent. And that's why we're covering it so much. So, I think it's important to do that. And, we're being suppressed on YouTube a lot. And so we appreciate it if you guys who are on YouTube could please share, because we're really getting heavily suppressed, especially at a time when, these are very important subjects that we're trying to get to you guys.
Yeah, just a few notes, and fam, you hit it on the nose right now. This is what's going on. This is on everybody's mind. This is what they're talking about. This is our livelihood. You know what I'm saying? From the way we communicate with each other to the way we travel, everything is at play right now. It's a unique time, and it is the number one topic that's going on, especially with the president addressing the nation yesterday. Our beautiful president. These are things we have to talk about. I just got off the phone with somebody, fam, before I connected with you. And that person is not invited to Christmas this year again for the second straight time because he refuses to, comply with what everybody says they should comply with. So believe you me, this is a topic that is splitting people in half. It is breaking apart families. But it's like our good friend said to us. Now we know exactly who the people are that we can break bread with, that we can talk to, that we can open up to. We know exactly who our friends are. And I'm not trying to say this to divide people, even though this is such a divisive thing, because I do believe that the people who are falling for the rhetoric out there, which we're going to discuss coming up, are victims themselves, fam. I really do truly believe that. I'm not just saying that to being a loving, forgiving person that I am. I'm saying that I do believe that they are victims, that there hasn't been a lot of informed consent out there. And that's because the people who run things up above own every single avenue of communication, every form of the monetary system. So it's an uphill battle, but it's important to us to cover these things. We will be off until Monday, correct, fam? We're not doing a show on Christmas Eve, right? So we won't have a show on Christmas Eve, but Monday we'll be back.
I didn't know we weren't doing a show on Christmas Eve. Maybe we should do something. I don't know.
We'll see what's going on. I know there's traveling plans and everybody's going to be moving around. I think that myself, if we're going to do something, it'd have to be really, really early because I got family stuff going on. And for what I understand is that you guys will be on the move as well. But we will definitely be back Monday. Also, something we wanted to talk about too as well. We will be in Nicaragua for the inauguration, ladies and gentlemen. This is something that's big. I got off the phone with some people yesterday that are in Nicaragua, and this is kind of like a seismic shift of the way business is done in South and Central America, all over the globe. And it's going to be interesting. There's going to be some amazing things for us to cover while we are there. So you guys can count on the Convo Couch. Fam, this is bigger than I think that I originally really thought it would be. But what's going on in Nicaragua with the inauguration, the different countries that will be there, the different leaders that will be there from around the globe, because things are happening in Nicaragua, and the Convo Couch will be on the ground covering that in early January. So look for that stuff over there. Fam, would you believe it that Trey was the first one in the door, by the way?
Yes, fam, I would believe it. As you guys can see, I'm a workaholic. I mean, if it were up to me, we'd stream every day. So I just think, I don't know. There's so much shit to cover that I never feel like it's enough. Something came up today as well. There's oh my God, there's just so much. I did want to say that, I'm very excited to go back to Nicaragua. We're supposed to also go to Honduras, but we haven't finalized all the procedures for that yet. But Nicaragua, for sure, we're going to be there. And like Pasta said, it's a very pivotal moment in Nicaragua. You're going to have a lot of people from Russia, Iran, China.
China will be in the house.
US. the U.S., what they call their adversaries. So it'll be interesting to really watch that play out. And I love Nicaragua. Like literally, I'm in love with everything about it. It's just so amazing. So I am so excited to be back there with all our
For everybody out there, just take a look at the leader who's there. That's, if you want to impress Fiorella, she likes strong leaders, the ones who say, Yankee, go home. We're not going to deal with you. That's what impresses Fiorella. So if you're going to come correct, or don't come at all. By the way, everybody on YouTube, please share this right now. And I want to send a special love out to Larry Alger, who is recovering from surgery today. Fam, he's had that 4-inch hole in his brain that goes all the way down to his skull from the cancer they just drilled out. He had to get another procedure today, but we want to send him love. Larry Alger, our man. Larry, who's an election integrity activist, who's been on top of this whole situation too as well when it comes to the vid. Let's just give him a warm, loving shout out that he may feel better and recuperate and recover fast. But right now is the time, guys. We need you to share. We need you to get this out here more than ever. The suppression is hard, right? You know what I'm saying? And it's so funny because you could just look at the way the numbers on YouTube have always worked. We've always gotten numbers sporadically, and that is just the result of YouTube turning on and turning off the faucet. They're controlling everything because we'll do a show, we'll do something great, we'll be on Jimmy or whatever, and then we'll get thousands of followers, boom. And then all of a sudden we'll shut off and it will be the drip. Well, they've left the drip on for an extended time right now. That drip is on and we need you guys to help us bust it open and let the faucet flow because we're right near 40,000 subscribers over there. We obviously don't pay as much attention to it because of what they've done to us. But we need your help, guys. Just the way you guys have put us on the ground for the elections, we need your help right now. Obviously, don't pay as much attention to it because of what they've done to us.
I pulled a pasta.
It's okay. But we need your help more than ever, guys. Without you guys, we wouldn't exist. And I want to thank you all because it is the time for loving and sharing, fam, the true meaning of Christmas. And I want to send love and thank you to all our fams out there because you're not our fans. You're our fams. Because you're our family. And thank you so much. Everybody, Lucky Burrito, Super Patriot, Cam, all these people, Larry Johnson. I know Saul Construct is usually there and he'll join along. Deep Space, even that son of a bitch. He should be on Rokfin. Jesus, F Funk, all you people, Trey. Thank you guys so much, you guys. You guys don't know what you mean the world to us. Cam Schwari, Kate, Anna Mares, Roar Media, Accidental Activist, Slow News Day. Steve said he'll fight me for 2 Bitcoin. Like, Steve, you don't have to fight me for 2 Bitcoin because if I had 2 Bitcoin, I'd give you a piece of one and we'd both be happy. That's the beautiness of Bitcoin. And so Zavoxavix is also hanging out, fam. All the people in case we miss you, we love you. Thank you, all our Patreons, all our PayPal people. Fam, I'm sorry for speaking. I just got festive. Take it away.
Yeah, so you do. It's okay. We know you do it all the time, fam. It's okay. Steve wanted to do a debate with you. MCSC is fighting over Bitcoin. They're against it. You're for it. Franco and I were going to moderate because, we're like the Peruvians that are like, yeah, whatever. So
yeah, well, you guys are the perfect moderators. You're middle ground on this stuff because Steve is completely wrong. And, unfortunately, I love Steve, but he's just being a contrarian at times and not really looking at the positive effects of Bitcoin.
Steve,
and we've said this before. It might not be the final answer, but it's the next answer, And he's, what I'm saying? Like, look, I love Steve, but, and Steve is great. He's fam. He's a close friend. But, sometimes he'll go on his little contrarian spins, and not even present a solution. And he's not presenting solutions to this situation.
Well, why don't you save it for this? If there is a debate, why don't you guys save it for that? Because that's not the subject today of what we're going to talk about. He's not going to want
to debate me on this. And he's not. He's going to get beat up. So I'll issue the challenge right now. Steve, you want to debate on Bitcoin? I am fine with Fee and Franco doing the moderating.
Well, Glory and Johnny, we're going to go at it. Glory and Johnny, we're going to go at it too. So.
You know what? That would be cool. Like, Gloria and John, and then me and Steve. You know what I'm saying? And then we should get Max Kaiser and Steve Grumbine. So it'll be like 1, 2, and 3.
No. All right,
we'll just do it us.
We don't need either of those two, really.
Okay. It's an MCSC. You're right. It's an MCSC feud. Steve, if you take the challenge, going on the record,
Jesus.
Steve, do you accept the challenge? And Johnny should debate glory. That would be amazing,
Okay. So let's get on with it, fam, because we have, it's not a long show, guys, but it's a good show. So we're going to talk about Biden's speech because this is important. Biden just issued a whole new decree because of Omicron. Omicron this, Omicron that. We've talked about, how it's all over the mainstream media, how they're fear-mongering people, even though it is a mild type of variant. It is actually the variant to get if you're going to get it because the symptoms are extremely mild. So Biden has been aligning with Trump on the vaccine. We're going to watch his speech. Pasa has some videos that he's going to show, but he actually issued a dire warning against the unvaccinated of death and illness, which was extremely weird. But they had a White House briefing, and I'm going to go over some of the things briefly that they talked about. And they say that these are actions to protect Americans against the Delta and Omicron variant. Specifically, they're focusing on the Omicron in this dark, long winter. And so he basically is focused on pushing boosters for all adults. Remember when we said that they were going to start doing this, that it wasn't going to be enough to get 1-2 vaccines, that they were going to push boosters? Well, now they're pushing boosters, as we said. They're also pushing vaccinations on kids. And to keep their schools open, though, they want to keep schools open while pushing vaccination. So they're using the issue of, in order to keep schools open, everybody must be vaccinated, including these kids that have a very low % chance of getting any sort of really issue with COVID. 3, they're going to expand the free at-home testing for Americans, and they're going to have stronger public health protocols. And international travel issues. I'm going to go over some specifics of that. They're going to have more protections in the workplace, which translates to more mandates, more, forcing people to get vaccinated in order to keep the economy open. The same thing they're doing with the schools, the same thing they're doing with the jobs. And so they've hired a bunch of people in these so-called rapid response teams that are going to actually, deal with the situation. And they've also, this one's really interesting, are going to supply treatment pills to help prevent hospitalization and death. These pills are, of course, sponsored by Big Pharma. And they're also going to really just focus on getting everybody in the world vaccinated. And so, they talk about how the WHO presented Omicron variant as a concern. And so they restricted travel from Africa, if you guys remember, and from all the affected areas, and now are pushing the boosters. And so slide 7, they start, talking about how they're going to ensure that 100 million eligible Americans who have not gotten their shot get one as soon as possible. They say, as we face the Omicron variant, boosters are more important than ever. Boosters increase the strength of your antibody response. So when the virus mutates, a booster makes it more likely that your antibodies can protect you against the variant. This week, the CDC issued updated guidance recommending that every adult get a booster. All adults who completed a primary vaccination series with an mRNA vaccine at least 6 months ago, and those who received a Johnson & Johnson shot at least 2 months ago are eligible for a booster. These shots are free at over 80,000 locations. 41 million Americans have already gotten the booster, including half of eligible seniors. They're also going to expand the pharmacy availability through December and reach out to all people to get their booster. So they're doing their whole shenanigans.
By the way, fam,
again,
just before you keep going, I want to say this to our audience. The CDC says that the vaccinations and the boosters are safe and effective. Please go, fam.
Yeah, of course. And so they're also launching a new public education campaign to encourage adults to get boosters with a focus on seniors. So they're going to spend a lot of money to focus on the elderly to get vaccinated. They're working with AARP on an education campaign. They're going to provide even vehicles to transport the elderly to get their booster shots. And of course, they're also targeting Medicare beneficiaries to get adults extra protection via the booster. They're launching this initiative to get people boosted and to provide information And it says approximately 63 million people are enrolled in Medicare. This is the first time in more than 4 years that Medicare has sent all Medicare beneficiaries a notice of this kind. CMS will also send emails and messages to 1-800-Medicare call center to incorporate messaging. So they're spending a lot of money and time and effort to get these seniors vaccinated. They're also going to, the whole thing from the left is like, you need to make sure that these vaccines are free and that people have time off. Well, they're also going to call on all employers to follow the government's lead and provide paid time off for their employers to get boosted. So now there's no excuse. You have the time off to get your vaccine. They're going to give it to you. But the issue is like a lot of people, they don't do that. They can't afford to do that. They're not going to follow through with it, but they're going to pressure people to do that right now. About 35% of parents report being concerned about having to take time off work. So that's that. So the second major part of this whole campaign is to quote unquote protect our kids and keep our schools open. So they're basically going to get more kids ages 5 and older vaccinated in order to say, get the schools open. 99% of schools in the country are open. And so they want that to stay the case, which is, it's going to, people who are on the right who didn't want the schools to close, or anybody that really didn't want the schools to close, are going to be happy about that. But the problem is they're going to be pushing these kids to get vaccinated. 4 million 5 to 11-year-olds have already been vaccinated, and 15 million teenagers or adolescents. And so they talk about that, how that's like their next thing. And they're going to have more family vaccination clinics and more locations on this where people can go and get vaccinated. And then they're going to require Medicaid to pay healthcare providers to talk to families about getting their kids vaccinated. This is an important one right here. So they're literally going to get these Medicare professionals, right? So it says to help parents get their questions answered and make informed decisions about COVID-19 vaccinations for their children, all Medicaid programs will pay healthcare providers to talk to parents about the importance of kids' vaccination. Medicaid will cover COVID-19 vaccine counseling visits for most children and youth up to age 21, with 100% federal funding throughout the public health emergency and the following year. Medicaid and the Children's Health Insurance Program provide health insurance coverage to over 40% of all children in the United States and are a significant source of coverage for Black and Brown children. This will help expand access to individualized medical advice in all communities. So that's kind of where I'm a little concerned, where they're going to pay people to pretty much convince parents and their kids that their kid needs to be vaccinated. That seems to me a breach of, privacy. It's a little bit. It's just kind of like you're like, it's just like too much. Like you're crossing too many boundaries. They're also going to provide resources to the FDA to support review of applications for vaccines for kids under the age of 5. So now, not only are they focusing on vaccinated kids over the age of 5, they're going to focus on making sure that the process of reviewing vaccinations for kids under the age of 5 is actually, expedited. And the president will announce that, as he did for the vaccine for kids ages 5 to 11, he supports independent scientific review of a vaccine for those individuals under the age of 5 and will provide the FDA with any needed resources to do this as safely and as quickly as possible once data is submitted to the agency. And the other thing that we mentioned is they're going to have free at-home testing, and they're going to send this to more than 150 Americans with private insurance who are now able to get tests covered in physicians' offices, pharmacies, and clinics with no cost sharing will also be able to get at-home tests reimbursed by their insurance. Those not covered by private insurance in more than 20,000 federally supported free testing sites across the U.S. at-home tests will be distributed through key community sites and health centers and rural clinics. So mainly, of course, it'll be easy for you. If you have insurance, you'll still have to pay for it, then you'll get reimbursed. If you don't have insurance, they're going to have these clinics for you to go get it. So, and that's the free at-home testing. Who knows if you're going to be able to use it in the airlines to travel, because they're specific about what tests they use anyway. And so they're going to also provide over-the-counter COVID-19 tests to expand this. Again, it's with the same thing with insurance. Like if you have insurance, you'll be able to mostly get this covered. If you don't have insurance, though, it doesn't really say that you're going to get that covered. So you're out of luck if you don't have insurance in that aspect. And yeah, so they're going to also, in that case, put more testing in these community centers. Supposedly, that's what they're going to do. So this is where it gets trickier. Did you want to say anything?
No, keep going. I got a shit ton of notes, so go keep going.
Okay. So they're going to strengthen global pre-departure testing protocols. So next week, the U.S. will tighten pre-departure testing protocols by requiring all inbound international travelers to test within 1 day of departure globally. So anybody departing globally, like specifically into the United States, regardless of nationality or vaccine status. So remember, before it was if you're a foreigner that's not a citizen and you're coming into the country, you must be vaccinated or provide proof of a test within 24 hours. Now it's like you have to give a test regardless, and it must be within 24 hours. No longer is if you're vaccinated, you can have 72 hours from the time you were tested. Now it's 24 hours. Those tests, the 24-hour rapid tests, are expensive. They cost a lot of money when you're traveling. So we know because we were traveling. And so, they're going to require all international travelers to test within 1 day of departure, regardless of their nationality or vaccination status. This provides an added degree of public health protection as scientists continue to assess the Omicron variant. They're extending the requirements to wear a mask on airplanes, rail travel, and public transportation. So they're going to continue to require masking during international or other public travel, as well as transportation hubs such as airports or indoor bus terminals through March 18th. As they continue, as they say, they're battling COVID, and this is going to be there. Fines will be doubled, actually, from their initial levels for noncompliance with the masking requirements, with a minimum fine of $500 and a fine of up to $3,000 for repeat offenders. So do not take off your mask unless you want to pay up a lot of money. So
I'm laughing, fam.
Yeah, we already read that. Okay. So they're pushing businesses to move forward with vaccination or testing. The president will call on businesses to move forward expeditiously with requiring their workers to get vaccinated or tested.
How do you spell
weekly.
that, by the way?
Fam, it's right there.
I mean, it's just, well, I can't, I was trying to write that in a tweet and I couldn't do that. Mr. Clark uses that word expeditiously. So just so you know.
Okay. So
Oz got that. You didn't, because you're young and we're old. Go ahead.
Okay. So it says they don't want businesses to shut down, right? So they're saying that if you don't want businesses to shut down, you need to keep workers safe. Again, the same thing with schools, right? That as long as you're vaccinated, you're keeping business alive and capitalism alive. So already 60% of businesses report they are moving forward with implementing a program to ensure their workers are either vaccinated or tested on a weekly basis. And the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and more than 100 leading public health experts have encouraged businesses to not delay in implementing these measures, blah, blah, blah. And so, like I said, they're having an emergency response team deploying everywhere. 20 plus Department of Defense medical response team deployments. Department of Defense medical, that seems a little interesting. 10 national disaster medical system team deployments to provide clinical support at strained hospitals. 20 monoclonal antibody strike teams deployment to support the administration of these life-saving treatments. It's interesting because monoclonal antibodies are really expensive and not accessible to a great majority of the public. So I kind of doubt that a lot of people are going to get it.
And fam, that's something I've been going into right now too as well. And I have it on my notes, and I was going to let it just break with it. But while you're on that subject, a lot of the monoclonal antibodies are finding that they're not necessarily working properly when it comes to the Omicron variant, especially when it comes to Regeneron, which is the number one monoclonal antibody out here in Florida. So it's something just to keep in mind. To keep going, fam. I'm sorry.
And then there's 50 plus CDC expert deployments to conduct outbreak investigations and provide epidemiological or technical support wherever needed. There's going to be volunteers that they're asking for. And as we close up, they're talking about treatment pills, which is interesting. I mean, you know, we've talked about the I word, the medicine word, and that could have been a prophylactic. But, you know, now they're saying as we head into winter, new COVID-19 treatments may be on the horizon that could help prevent hospitalization and death. As these treatments continue to be developed and reviewed, today the president will announce that we are ensuring that if and when any new COVID-19 treatment pills have been found to meet the FDA scientific standards, they are equitably accessible to all Americans, regardless of their income or their zip code. It'll be interesting to see what the type that they're going to put out, and if they're not having people pay it, really what's in it, because that's interesting to me. Securing enough supplies and ensuring pills are widely available to the hardest hit higher stress communities. 13 million doses of antiviral courses to ensure an ample supply for Americans. The number is 6 times the number of COVID-19 hospitalizations reported throughout the entire year. And as more and more become available, they will ensure that underserved communities, often at the highest risk, will be able to have this. And so the rest of it is just pretty much, you know, saying that they're going to do everything they can to prepare for Omicron. They're going to accelerate the development and deployment of new vaccines and boosters if needed for the Omicron variant. Now, that one is important because that one is signaling to us that you're likely going to have to get another booster and another booster and another booster, because here it says the president is committed to using every resource and tool available to the U.S. to ensure that we can quickly get updated vaccines and boosters to the American people. In the unlikely event they are needed to battle the Omicron variant, the administration is working closely with executives at Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson to develop contingency plans for other vaccinations or boosters if needed. Yes, they're working with Big Pharma. We know. Trust me, we know. Yeah. And so the president will also use every resource available to help support the FDA and CDC and quickly review the new vaccines if needed. What?
Quit touching your hair, fam, because when you touch your hair and you speak, you can't hear it because it's going.
Oh, okay.
So they didn't hear like 3 of your things, so be careful.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So the president will use every resource available to help support the FDA and CDC, quickly review the vaccines if needed, and blah, blah, blah. So again, so they're likely going to actually push another booster. And the last thing is what they're saying is this part where Biden pretty much warned of death and illness to a lot of people. He said, "We are intent on not letting Omicron disrupt work and school for the vaccinated. You've done the right thing, and we will get through this. For the unvaccinated, you're looking at a winter of severe illness and death for yourselves, your families, and the hospitals you may soon overwhelm." So once again, this is a pandemic of the unvaccinated, according to Joe Biden, the CDC, and the entire administration. He says, so our message to every American is clear. There is action you can take to protect yourself and your family. Wear a mask in public, indoor settings, get vaccinated, get your kids vaccinated, and get a booster shot when you're eligible. We are prepared to confront this new challenge. We have plenty of vaccines and booster shots available at convenient locations and for no cost. There is clear guidance on masking to help slow the spread, and we have emergency medical teams to respond to surges necessary. So this is not a moment to panic because we know how to protect people and we have the tools to do it, but we need the American people to do their part to protect themselves, their children, and their communities. So as you guys can see, Biden is pretty much, what?
All right. No, I'm just saying I'm getting ready to talk now because that was a long period. Yeah, so let's talk about this right now. Now that we're on split screen and we went through all the new precautions or the new systems that are in play, whatnot. I think it's 3-pronged, right? Okay. So you got the first part of lockdowns, right? Where they're in America, they're not going to lock us down again because they understand. I think the ruling class understands if they've already overplayed their card. And if they continue to try to put lockdowns on us, it's going to really, really make something blow. You can just go to my whole face real quick, because because I'm going to speak for about a good 2-3 minutes here. So number one, I think that they understand that they can't go to the lockdown situation again. But that doesn't mean that other countries that are aligned with us aren't going to follow through. Keep your eyes on countries like Austria. Keep your eyes on countries like Australia, New Zealand. We know the culprits. Even keep your eyes on countries like England, Great Britain, to see what they do. But I think that they understand that they'll be pushing it too much to see if they're going to try to lock us down again. So they're not going to lock us down. But what are they going to do with this messages over here? You see there's two areas which they're going to hit hard. And they're kind of signaling to what they're going to do. Number one is at the workplace. They're not giving up on their mandates and trying to push us to get vaccinated if you want to keep your job. We already know if you have a federal job, it's almost nearly impossible to get by without vaccination. A lot of other businesses are going to follow suit and push this through, even though it's a gray area, whether they can do it or not. There's going to be a mass push for vaccinations at work. And Joe Biden has now signaled to all the bosses out there, all the corporations, all the managers out there that he's going to give them the tools and the assistance to go through with it, to have the stones to go through it. I think we had this pause where we were saying, it looks like in the courts, all these mandates are getting struck down, right? They're getting hit down one right after the other. But now he's reassuring you, hey, man, wink, wink, I got your back. Go ahead and push. Make sure that people get vaccinated. Make sure they get a booster. You know what I'm saying? So that pushes on. The other part of this whole new rollout of plans and regulations that really scare me is the kids. They're still going to go through with this mass vaccination when it comes to children, even though, and this is according to all the big wigs out there, all the science that they stand behind, that a child from the age of 6 to 11, which he talked about, millions of kids being vaccinated at that point, the chances of them are dying of this are 0.00, whatever the hell it is. It's something ridiculously low. Not to mention that they're not talking about natural antibodies over here. They're not talking about natural immunity, which what we see from other places that have been mass vaccinated, that natural immunity is somewhere anywhere from 13 to 27 times stronger than induced vaccination immunity, in which these boop boops are giving people. So that is something that is really kind of scary when it comes to this whole situation. We did mention about the Regeneron not working, the natural antibodies, and that's something that we're going to be picking up on, something I've been doing some work. I had some discussions today with people, my sources, when it comes to the Convo Couch. When it comes to that, we have to talk a lot more about that, because that's going to mean that what do we do, right? What are we, the people who are not necessarily going to buy into this whole mass vaccination push, what do we do? Well, we have to still do the same things, the things that have been working, the things we know. So we'll get back to that. We're going to table that for now. That's topic and subject for another time. And we can do a 6-hour show today with all the news and the information that's coming out, because it's coming out like a faucet. Let me say this much. When they say that these things are free, they are not free. They are paid for by us. At the end of the day, it's going to be an austerity measure where the money is produced, and when it can be produced for healthcare and actual forms of therapy or treatments for this, knowing that this is an endemic that's not being spent, but it's spent over here with big pharma. That's who's going to make the money. So when they tell you it's free, they're lying. It might not cost you, the individual, money at the time, but we as a whole, we have to pay for it. And that means who gets the money, right? All the people they said they're working closely with, they didn't even hide this. All the big pharma company, Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, these are the people that they'll be working with. They're talking with you. And what's the goal for this mass push for vaccination out of the blue? Well, not out of the blue. I mean, they're just doing another heavily push with the Omicron, is that they want you to become dependent on big pharma. Every 6 months, go get your booster, go get shot. This is the only way to protect yourself. The thing that's most upsetting about hearing all this stuff is that there's never anybody out there to push back against these people right now. When Joe Biden says these things, it's not like he's open up for debate or taking questions from journalists that could push back against him. He's in his safe box again, spewing his propaganda. Same thing with Fauci, Leanna Wen, all these people, Scott Gottlieb, when they get on TV and they say all these things, there's not an opposing opinion out there. There's not robust debate to push back. And that's the thing that's scary about this whole situation and this push to vaccinate. You know, also the masking up. They want to use this to mask up. Why? Because this is one of the most divisive things out there right now. Remember when they told us in the beginning, this thing, you got to mask up, we got to slow the curve. If you get the vaccination, you get the boop boop, you'll be able to go back to your normal life and stuff, whatnot. That's not happening. We're now 2.5 years down the road. And it's just one of the most divisive things, because it really is when people are saying, enough is enough. I'm not wearing my mask. 99% of the masks out there really don't even stop this from you getting this. And that's why there's been mass contagion going from person to person when it comes to Omicron. You know what I'm saying? But it's also a sign. They look at it and say, well, this is more about compliance than it is about safety. And there's actual fights going on. I can tell you this, being back at home here with my mom and what she's going through with the board, that everybody's got to now mask up when they go inside. It's divisive as hell. So there's a reason for why they're doing this. They won't lock it down. And then one of the funny things, fam, that was said, and I'll let you jump in here because I know I've been talking for a couple minutes, this whole, we're going to use an independent group to go ahead and check with the kids situation, to see what's going on. Is that true? Is it really going to be an independent group, fam? Or is it going to be to the picking and the likings of the administration?
I don't think it's going to be an independent group at all. I think it's going to be based on the administration. You have people from Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson that they're talking to. They're not talking to the working people. They're not talking to doctors that are treating patients. They're talking to Big Pharma. So obviously it's going to have that. It's the same, as lobbyists, oil lobbyists writing legislation about the environment. It's the same type of mentality. But what I wanted to say with Biden's statement that I didn't get to say at the end of what I just read, when he's saying for the unvaccinated, you're looking at a winter of severe illness and death for yourselves, your family, and the hospitals you may soon overwhelm. If Donald Trump had said that, you'd have the entire mainstream media, every liberal and every progressive pretty much clutching their pearls saying, how dare he say that? He doesn't care. He's sending death wishes to the people of America. He doesn't care about these people who don't have access to XYZ vaccine, whatever. Like they would flip. But because it's Joe Biden saying it, they're staying silent. I mean, to me, that seems like a threat, and it seems like a blame. He's blaming people who are unvaccinated. He's absolutely making this argument that it's the pandemic of the unvaccinated. He is completely pretty much putting it on all those people, saying that if they die, they brought it upon themselves. And, we're going to go on Rokfin only, and we're going to talk about that. But, the CDC themselves has said these vaccines are safe and effective, but also they don't necessarily stop the transmission. You're just less likely to get it for a certain amount of time. And the fact is that a lot of people who are getting, Omicron are already vaccinated and boosted. The first case in Pasadena, per the city of Pasadena, of Omicron was a person who was double vaxxed and boosted. This is not anything new. This is the reality. And so when Joe Biden is making this pandemic still of the unvaccinated, when the World Health Organization has said, you guys need to stop. You guys are really alarming people. They're continuing to do this. It really doesn't do a whole lot of good to his. Obviously, it doesn't do good to us, to the people in general. It divides us further, but also to his own image and Kamala Harris's image, who they're tanking their entire presidency. They're so unpopular, and of course, the Democratic Party is likely to lose in 2022. With the in Congress, and I think they're already blaming Russia for it. So it's just gigantic.
By the way,
hilarious.
There's the Lancet. We had this on a report too as well. They wrote a big article about this. Is one of the best peer-reviewed medical journals out there, and they said you have to stop with this language. Saying that this is a pandemic of the unvaccinated is just unfair, and it's very, very divisive. And there are reasons why people are skeptical about getting this vaccine, and they have every right to be. And we should stop, allowing this behavior of people going after them and demonizing them. And that's what more of this whole talk is all about. You know what I'm saying? Fam, we should go into the videos too as well, because I can't wait for you. This is something Fam put up the stuff and was reading all the things. I had to go watching through the videos. It's like double torture over here. I'd rather get my eyes gouged out than have to watch this shit again. But since for our fams at the Convo Couch, we do it for you. Fam, just watch the man's demeanor and watch it. It's like the whole time I was like, can he make it through this whole thing? Let's get started on this whatnot, fam. Because the first question I have is, and it was right out the gate, we said this the other day on the show when we were talking about where did Omicron come from? Wait a second. We know what this is going to be about. This is going to be a mass push for vaccination and boosters. So they're going to once again, despite the talk of saying stop blaming the unvaccinated, they're going to blame the unvaccinated, fam. And it was almost right out of the gate. Here's Joey B talking about the unvaccinated being the problem.
Let me answer some questions that lay out the steps the Vice President and I are taking to prepare for the rising number of cases experts tell us we can expect in the weeks ahead. First, how concerned should you be about Omicron, which is now the dominant variant in this country and it happened so quickly? The answer is straightforward. If you're not fully vaccinated, you have good reason to be concerned. You're at a high risk of getting sick. And if you get sick, you're likely to spread it to others, including friends and family. And the unvaccinated have a significantly higher risk of ending up in a hospital or even dying. Almost everyone who has died from COVID-19 in the past many months has been unvaccinated. Unvaccinated. But if you're among the majority of Americans who are fully vaccinated, and especially if you've gotten the booster shot, that third shot, you have much less reason to worry. You have a high degree of protection against severe illness.
Change it to their booster right now, which means a lot of people who have passed away after receiving their first shot are considered unvaccinated. That is a way you can manipulate the lies. That is the way you can manipulate the whole rhetoric and the narrative.
This is just your opinion.
This is just my personal opinion. The CDC says the boosters are safe and effective. Your thoughts on that, fam, when he says that most people who have died are unvaccinated?
Yeah, I mean, I think we need a little bit more data to that. You know, if you guys want to stick around for the Rokfin section, we can really tell you how what we really think and expand on that. But what we're saying is that is not necessarily true. At least with this variant, a lot of people getting it are already vaccinated. In fact, if the majority of people, for instance, in certain states like Wisconsin, 80% of the population is vaccinated. So a lot of the people that are getting sick are already vaccinated. So that's a at the very least, it is something that seems that needs data at the most. It's just inaccurate. And even if the CDC says the vaccines are safe and effective, that they've also said that they've changed what a vaccine is. It reduces transmission. It does not necessarily stop the spread. It helps with the symptoms, but it's not necessarily stopping the spread. And that's per the CDC's own words. So, yeah.
John, Oz, let's skip number 17, jump to number 18. Because this is interesting too as well, but we can see that who's on the same page when it comes to this, fam. This is something that's been hitting the news right now. A lot of people have been talking about this. I didn't know that Biden and Trump are buddies. Maybe we can play the video and see if they are.
Another question folks are asking is, what can you do to make yourself and your family feel safer and be safer? The answer is simple. Get your booster shot. Wear a mask. Our doctors have made it clear. Booster shots provide the strongest of protections. Unfortunately, we still have tens of millions of people who are eligible for the booster shot but have not yet gotten it. They've gotten the first two shots, but they've not gotten the booster. Folks, the booster shots are free and widely available. Over 60 million Americans, including 62% of eligible seniors.
They were saying you were muted. I don't know.
Group, have gotten their booster shots.
Yeah.
I got my booster shot as soon as they were available. Oh. And just the other day, former President Trump announced he had gotten his booster shot. Maybe one of the few things he and I agree on.
There he is.
People with booster shots are highly protected. Join them. Join us. It's been 6 months or more since my second shot. If it's been 6 months or more for your second shot when I got my booster, you can get yours today. If you've been 6 months or more since your second shot.
Yep.
Oh.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we're good. Yeah.
All right. So, Fam, that's the first time I've ever heard himself align himself with the Don. Yeah.
So, guys, if this doesn't show you politically, now I'm going to shift a little bit to the political aspect of this, because this should be straight science, right? We shouldn't be talking about politics, but of course we live in the United States of America, and we have made this whole situation political. So let's talk about what this does politically. Politically, we have had a very divided country between those who have supported Donald Trump and those who have supported the Democratic Party, or the progressives of the Democratic Party, right? And you have these people, the deplorables on the Trump side, and then you have, the commies, even though they're not anything close to commies, they're, shitlibs. And so this whole time, the last 5 years, we've spent hearing about how Donald Trump is a fascist, how Donald Trump is the most dangerous president in modern history, like Bernie Sanders said, how Donald Trump is a xenophobe, a homophobe, a racist, is all this crap. So now you have Joe Biden aligning himself with Donald Trump. You also have Donald Trump telling his supporters, I got the booster, and saying, oh, come on. And acting like it's not a big deal that some of his supporters booed him when he was like, I got the booster. So it just goes to show you that what we've been saying when we talk about two wings of the same bird, we're talking about how they're essentially playing you. They're playing you. They're promoting this idea that they're extremely different. But when you look at policy, extremely similar. I mean, Donald Trump is just, in certain areas, he was less of an interventionist. In certain areas, he was more anti-immigrant with his rhetoric. But when we're talking about policy-wise, Joe Biden has supported more people than Donald Trump did in his first, few hundred days. I mean, these are facts. And so when we really look at the way they're responding to this quote unquote pandemic, you notice this, right? This is, he's saying, my buddy Joe Biden and I align on that. That's a good thing. Like, see, even Joe Biden and Trump, he's saying Trump and I align on that. So even saying something as simple as that should show you guys that this is all just this is theater, because the reality is that they do align on that and much more. And finally, now he's starting to be able to say it. Why? Because their whole point is to get everybody vaccinated, is to get everybody on board with the same exact narrative. And, so because we're on YouTube only, I'm going to refrain from saying anything else, but it just goes to show you, like, this is, when we talk about the fourth industrial revolution, when we talk about, what they talked about at the World Economic Forum, this is all part of it. They're all on board. They're all part of the same class. This is the battle, the 99% versus the 1%. And they are both part of the 1%. So you patriots, you Trumpers who are still on Trump's ass, who still think that he's some sort of, going to drain the swamp and he's some sort of outsider, I don't know what more proof you need that he isn't. And that he's just really in line with Joe Biden when it comes to one of the biggest stories of our time.
Yeah, and fam, I think you should use the word theater instead of theater when it's about theater, because that's what it really is. That's the word. And I got to give big ups what you just said over there, fam, too, as well. Not that these people are crazy. Like I'm not wearing an anomaly T-shirt, but this guy got a lot of shit when he broke away for this very specific reason over here, talking about the vaccines and what's going on. And even I think Alex Jones issued some type of fatwa. He actually brought on Burmis to make the announcement that unless that Donald Trump gets with the program, that he is persona non grata. So it's great to see some people realizing that this is all theater. I mean, because this is a guy, Donald Trump, when Fam just said, for you patriots to wake up, this is a guy who got COVID before the vaccines were even out there. And what did he use to treat himself that he recovered so quickly? Why isn't he talking about that, right? I mean, why isn't he talking about that, though, fam? Why has he made this pivot right now? And then there was this whole thing when they changed his executive order when it came to the hydroxychloroquine. from instead of getting it out to the people that just to make it to get it to people who are hospitalized, and then they didn't use it on them until people who were 10 days into it. You know what I'm saying? Why didn't he create a stink about it? Why? Because it's all theater, ladies and gentlemen. This is what it is right now. This is the light shined on the battle that is, which is the 1% versus the 99%. And it's really ridiculous. And Oz, before we go to number to 19, why don't you jump to 21 real quick and let's just play it, and then we'll backtrack to 19 so just people can understand what's going on. Take a look at this the other day. This is the dream team out there, fam. Go get your book signed. Take a look. Bill O'Reilly and the Don himself. Is it froze? There it goes.
Both the president and I are vaxxed, and did you get the booster?
Yes.
I got it too. Okay, so...
Don't. That's all right. There's a very tiny group over there.
Why? No, keep playing it. No, that's not it. There was more than that. That's the link?
Both the president and I are vaxxed, and did you get the booster?
All right, that's the long one.
Yes.
Wrong one. I sent you to. I mean, he goes on. I mean, oh my God.
Don't.
First of all, to try to kind of minimalize it and say that's a small group. I mean, the bullshit salesmanship he just played fair. And this is all you people out there. All of you deserve the credit for it, because let me tell you something. This would have been huge, fam. Millions would have died. But because of all you out there, I see you all, because of us and our vaccine, Operation Warp Speed, we saved millions of lives, if not, Bill, hundreds of millions. I mean, it was nauseating, ladies and gentlemen. It was just beyond. But now you know, and big ups to Steve, who's wrong on Bitcoin, but was always right on this and said, this is theater, ladies and gentlemen. And Donald Trump, when it comes to the important issues, Julian Assange, checked out. The boop, checked out. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? All the issues that matter most, which are the telling stories about, is this guy really an outsider? No, he's not. He plays ball when it's time to play ball on the important issues.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. And I mean, I think some of us did see it too. I mean, I talked about how Donald Trump was always, a snake oil salesman. He was playing to his base. This is all he did. And because without Trump, we wouldn't be able to have what we have in Joe Biden. We wouldn't be able to have that. Without Obama, we wouldn't have Trump. Without Trump, we don't get Biden. We don't get the complete and total submission by the working class and by a lot of these progressives into becoming the next generation of liberals. Without Trump, you don't get that. And so now, that's who made it possible. The presidency of Donald Trump is really what facilitated people to be receptive to somebody as just discussing, racist, segregating equally, as vile, if not more, because he is one of the architects of the system that Trump exploited, and he was allowed to exploit for a political gain, right? And so we wouldn't get anywhere where we are without the image. These people are just actors, okay? They're actors. They're not in charge. We talked about, is it Joe Manchin or Joe Biden? Neither of them are in charge. Trump wasn't in charge either, right? We know that the national security state apparatus is in charge. We know that people who are very powerful run this country, corporations and technocrats. That's who's running this country. And so the sooner people realize that, the better. Then it all makes sense. And you're like, oh, okay, wait a minute. No wonder that they're just playing their part. Go be the dumb grandpa Biden. Go be the one that pushes buttons in Donald Trump. So
yeah. Be the great emancipator and great bring us together person too as well, like Hillary Clinton, right? So anyways, let's just go to slide number 20, because in slide number 19, all I wanted to highlight, fam, the reason why we won't go down the lockdowns. And the reason that I wanted to highlight that is because he's speaking to a certain base out there, mainly the Walker Bragmans and the shitlibs that want to go on lockdown again. And his excuses and reasons for the lockdown, I don't even want to go into that right now. I just want to go over the summary. So let's go to number 20, because closing out this section, this is what Joe Biden said, the summary of what we have to do moving forward. And this is the point we have to just pay attention to. And, we have to realize what's going on and what lies in the future. So number 20, this is Joe's summary, and then we'll get on out of this section.
So, folks, let me summarize. We should all be concerned about Omicron, but not panicked. If you're fully vaccinated, and especially if you got your booster shot, you are highly protected. And if you're unvaccinated, you're at a higher risk of getting severely ill from COVID-19, getting hospitalized, and even dying. So the best thing to do is get fully vaccinated and get your booster shot. And no, this is not March of 2020. 200 million people are fully vaccinated. We're prepared. We know more. We just have to stay focused.
I just love that part when he says, fam, we just got to stay focused. It's up to us to pull us through, right? It's up to us to make sure that everything's okay. We got to watch out for each other, And just so you know, fam, too. Good. I was just going to say that the early numbers for Omicron, just to go, and I put this up there really quick. We saw the case fatality rate pulled right off the UK health website. 14 people died out of 41,250. Literally like a 0.0339 case fatality rate. And I said this before, you best believe that Joe Biden will amp up the fear as he addresses the nation tomorrow about the new variant, fam. So that's all I have on that.
So 2 things I wanted to say. You didn't go over the lockdown thing, but what I want to say about the lockdown thing is that the left uses the whole excuse of, you Fiorella, you Pasta, you Max Blumenthal, you Jimmy Dore, you whoever, right? Or you don't want people to close down. We don't want to lock down. So you're on the side of capitalism. You're on the side of business. You're on the side of the Chamber of Commerce because you don't want to shut down. No, I'm on the side of fucking logic. When you shut down, you destroy the economy. An economy that was already destroyed before COVID. Right, because this country has turned into a shithole country for the working class. For the working class, it's turned into a shithole country. Okay, because when I go to a third world country in Nicaragua and I don't see homeless people, and I see thousands of homeless people here on the street, you're not going to tell me that it's because we can't afford it, because we have way more money and way more resources than they do. So don't tell me it's because we can't afford it. It's mismanagement. And so when we talk about what he said about lockdowns, what the left does is that they say, we just need to shut down and pay people and give people money. Okay, so initially it's like, that sounds like a good idea. UBI, sure. But what does that do? That makes you dependent on this really authoritarian government. Because if it were any other government, a government that people trusted, a government that people felt represented by, sure, maybe people would be more likely to shut something down if it was necessary. It's not, Pasta just showed the statistics. It's not truly necessary. And so that's why people aren't wanting to shut down. So when you have this alarmist, like reactionary, like, oh my God, we need to shut down. Oh my God, you're not really giving any solutions. You're trying to react to something based on misinformation, actual misinformation. And these people fall right for it because they want these people to be alarmed. They want this fight to go on between the people that are hyper alarmed and the people that are like, oh, well, we need to keep businesses open. I'm not doing it because I care about corporations. When we lock down, when we shut down, you know who makes the most money? Amazon, Uber, the delivery services, the corporations, mom and pop places, they shut down. That's it. They're out of luck. You attack the working class. You attack servers, bartenders, cooks, busters, runners, all these people that work in hotels, all these people that work in the hospitality industry. That's who suffers. Those are the marginalized communities these idiots say they defend. That's the reality. And so when you are on the position of demanding lockdowns, and when you know the Biden administration is not going to give you shit for it, they're not going to give you money. You got more money under Trump. Take that and swallow it because you did. And admit it. And when that happens, you can't say you're on the side of the working class. You can't say that you are really, truly on the correct side. That you can't say that you're some sort of socialist or communist, really, truly, because really you're not on the side of workers. Be on the side of workers based on what tangibly, materially is the side of workers, not based on some ideological illusion that you've created in your head to make yourself feel better. That was my first point. My second point, real quick, is that
can I say something about your first point though, really quick, because I want to ask you a question. But fam, you're a person who's always said that you care more about humans than you do property, and that you care more about people's health than you do their businesses and stuff, and that we should kind of turn a blind eye and prioritize our health and humans before we prioritize property and small businesses. Do you have anything to say about that?
Of course, I am prioritizing humans. I am, because humans have to have a living. They have to have a livelihood. They also have to be psychologically okay. People who are not spending time with their families right now based on a lot of misinformation that's being put out there, I feel bad for those people. You shouldn't be spending Christmas alone. We don't know the psychological damage yet. We have yet to assess the massive psychological damage that has been pressed upon not just adults, but children, and in these conditions. I mean, suicide rates are up. I mean, depression rates are up. We already live in a society where people are medicated via big pharma. You think that society that medicates you in that way is going to look out for you, is really going to give a shit about what happens to you? No, what they're trying to do is make you dependent, make all of us dependent on gigantic corporations and on them. Because if I wanted to implement a UBI, I wouldn't implement it under this system that we have right now. And I've always said that, because this isn't something I want to touch. This is why I'm not a fan of Andrew Yang, because he doesn't address the structural issues that you have in the system. And that's the reality. And I forgot what I was going to say. It's funny because you just pointed out certain things. That UBI, us as a whole, UBI, healthcare, Second Amendment, and I think we've kind of transitioned on this because we understand what our government's trying to do. But I think it's great that you kind of just pointed these things out, because understanding about who's running things at the end of the day, who's behind the curtain. But go to your second point, because I think that was just amazing, that first point you just pointed out, as far as what these things are doing and what it means to, because I think a lot of people, mentally, they go, well, this system's bad, we got to smash it and start it all over and stuff. But we are existing in the system. And the system that we're existing in, if we just shut down small businesses and we just fucking pulled the chain on these people's livelihoods, it's going to cause a lot more mental illness than we really are prepared to deal with. But go ahead. I'm so sorry to interrupt. So yeah, I mean, you're right. But I think the system does need to be shut down, but it has to be shut down with the people doing it, not with the government doing it. There's a difference between the government being in control and the people being in control. And I think some of these people don't see that. They talk about, we want to reform, we want to fix the government. I hate these corporate assholes. Yet they submit to these corporate assholes. They submit to big pharma. They submit to the military-industrial complex. They don't even believe that there's a deep state, which there fucking is. There's a fucking deep state. It is a real thing, okay? And so my second point was somebody in the chat that said, how do you know that Trump actually took the vaccine? I'm working on reality here. I'm working on what we know. I don't give a shit if he took the vaccine or not. How do I know that Joe Biden and everybody in government took the vaccine or not? We don't know. What we do know is that they're playing a role. What I do know is that they're grifters, both of them, because they're lying. Because if they didn't take the vaccine, they're lying. And if they did take it, they're also lying. So you know what? I'm not going to go into this whole conspiratorial debate as to whether Trump took the vaccine or not, and if he's working with some undercover whatever, because his actions this entire time have shown us that he has not worked with the people. And some of you need to really, really get with the program. You are just as bad as the people who think that, AOC and all these Democrats, progressive Democrats, are anything more than just a bunch of liberal global capitalists. Really, like, both ends of the spectrum are really doing harm to a lot of people, because you got to stop playing your team sports here. You're like, this isn't going to get us anywhere. You need to understand really who's in charge. This is what I'm talking about. You're not understanding. He's not on your side. He's a billionaire. He has no reason to be on your side. Jeff Bezos and him have more in common. Seriously, this whole what if he didn't take it? And no, come on, dude. Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same type of standing for Tulsi, for Bernie, for AOC. You're just as guilty right now. Saying that, I didn't even see that in the chat. Like, well, what if he's just doing this? It's like, enough with the whole, he was recruited by Jesus Christ. Like, you have to accept this shit. Donald Trump has been wrong on all the issues that matter most, all the important issues. I'm going to read some super rays. Should we get on over to Rokfin only, or do you want to do the section? Let's get on over to Rokfin only, guys. Or do you want to do the section?
No.
Well, we have to do this section quickly, so let me get through this. Trey Wright was the first one there. Howdy, fam. We love you, Trey. We got to come see you sooner or later. We love you. We miss you. You're amazing. Keep being amazing. Chunky Lover, 66. This Chunky Lover. Somebody's sending me a little private note, fam. I think, they said Chunky Lover. Thank you so much for the super right contribution, Chunky Lover. It is always appreciated on the couch, and we love our chunky people here. Kristen Nye, always a fan of the show. Thank you so much for the super right contribution. It is always appreciated on the couch. Lucky Burrito A&M. Can I get a happy birthday for my Skyla, my daughter, who just turned 18 today? Fam, give Skyla a happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Skyla. That's a cool last name.
She went ice skating, fam, and fell. Now we're waiting on x-ray results. Happy 18th birthday. Much love from Leo. We love Leo. Fee, when you move your earbud, you're getting static. Thank you for all you do. Be careful with your earbud. A-Rem, thank you for the super great contribution. Always appreciate our couch. To my favorites. For your work, substance, pleasure, leisure, and even whims toward your health and peace of mind. Thank you, A-Rem. Substance, thank you so much. We love you guys. Fam, let's get on to this next section. And after this section, the final one will go to Rokfin only. So go right ahead.
Yeah, so make sure you guys to also like the Rokfin, the video, to help us get into the algorithm of the Rokfin. Okay, so this is a really quick section, guys. When we talked about months ago about microchips and vaccines, and a lot of people were like, that's a conspiracy. Well, in Sweden, this isn't conspiratorial. This has been reported on mainstream media. This is a video that RT just produced. COVID passports are now going to be maybe in the future, soon, a very near future, in a microchip that is inserted into your skin. And this is in Sweden. So this is a way, we've talked about the digital wallets that you can show on your phone, but in Sweden, they have a microchip that can be inserted into your skin that can be like your digital ID, your digital vaccine passport, so to speak. So let's watch this video. Then we'll discuss later on Rokfin.
Implants are a very versatile technology that can be used for many different things. And right now, it's very convenient to have a COVID passport always accessible on your implant. So in case your phone runs out of battery, it's always accessible to you. The implant is readable by any smartphone that has NFC function. So I can go to a restaurant or a movie theater, I just show them my arm and swipe me with a smartphone, and then that pops up the COVID passport that I have on my chip. So you don't need a special app for this. Kind of similar to a QR code, just that of course I don't want the QR code on my skin, right?
Awesome. That's cool. No, I wanted to, nothing. I sent you a message on Twitter. Fam, is there more to this?
No, that's it. So, this is something that we've talked about before possibly happening. We've talked about, when we talk about the fourth industrial revolution, and I put out recently an Instagram post where, it's like this caveman, this primate, right, turning into a caveman and then turning into a human, and then the human slowly turns into numbers and data. Well, the fourth industrial revolution is all about that. It's all about mining you. We're talking about mining resources, minerals and stuff. Now we're going to mine people. We're going to have these big technocrats, these 1% billionaire psychopaths are going to have direct access to you and your information, everything from your health to the essence of who you are as a person. that's why I call it the imperialism of the mind, the imperialism of the body, the imperialism of the human being, because now we're reaching that stage that we hadn't reached before during the previous times when people, right before revolution, right, you reached imperialism, you know, is supposed to be the highest thing, but now you're having imperialism of the human being. And so now this really just kind of shows you that the technology is there, and that's the technology that we've been allowed to see. Think about the technology that has been, you know, redacted, that has been suppressed, that is classified. And so I think it's something to watch, Pasta, because very easily, you know, you have the iris thing that you do at the airport, the biometric scanner type of thing, and then you have all of these types of technology that they're bringing in to really find out where you are, who you are at all times. My dad just told me that Geico is forcing him to pay more if he wants to keep the driver information away from the insurance company. So what they're doing is that they're saying if you want to pay less insurance, you have to give them access to this program where they can check how you're driving, where you're driving, how fast you're driving, and pretty much have complete and total access to your driving. And if you don't want to do that, then you have to pay a lot more. So that what we're entering is, once again, the merger of technology with the human body. And that's in part with the Great Reset. And so this is what we're talking about. We're seeing it manifest via these digital ID wallets, via this sort of type of microchip that's in the near future. If it's out there, that means it's going to happen at some point. So,
yep. By the way, it's funny as they're saying this stuff. It's like, it's so funny where we're at. I don't even say it's funny. It's sad in a way that we're at this point where we're kind of watching what we're saying and monitoring what we're saying. I'm saying, like, right now to myself, like, is this okay for her to talk about this on YouTube right now? Should we only talk about this on Rokfin? You know, this is the fourth industrial revolution. And we talk about transhumanism. Like, these are some of the things that they dinged us for back in the days. And it's just crazy that we're at a point right now where we have to watch our speech in America, where it's supposed to be about our freedoms and freedom of speech when we say these things. But it looks like a lot of people are already matriculating on over to Rokfin, and that's a great thing. Hunter's in the house, so is Tony. Watches closely. We love you, Tony. We love you, Hunter. Say hi to Ty. You guys are amazing. Much love to Hunter and Ty. So now is the time, ladies and gentlemen, when you want to swing on over to Rokfin, and we will talk about this a little bit more. The next section we have is not a long one, but it's about something important we need to talk about that we want to stay away from the YouTube. So go on over to Rokfin. Now is the time. I think we read all the super rays. Let me read any more super rays. I think we've read all the super rays. Get on over to Rokfin now, ladies and gentlemen. This is your last chance before we walk away from YouTube. Not for good, but just for this section. And we want to remind you all that if you haven't signed up for Rokfin, please do so right now. Steve Wolbrandt is bringing up the metaverse on the chat of YouTube. Steve, you're going to get us killed over here. Come on over to Rokfin and have fun.
Come on.
The metaverse.
Pasta's going to be somebody else in the metaverse.
Yeah. I'm going to be somebody completely different. Get on over, guys. Now's the time.
Some Italian goon.
It's so crazy because YouTube really has our settings. Like, when you go on it, it has our settings to like 240 that you have to adjust them. Gone on over to Rokfin right now. We're leaving in 5 seconds. 4, 3. Did you let Johnny know? 2,